Hey folks, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and another first for me today, a small kitchen knife. I've done a few large, chef's knife, that kind of thing in the past. I haven't done one of those for a few weeks now, and today is my very first video from a knife that's a Dalstrong. Now, Dalstrong is a company I hadn't heard of before. Well, when's before? I hadn't heard of, and I found out about them through a channel called Perfection. A guy named Ricky in California has got a knife channel that I watch. I watch very, very few channels. I watch one of his videos probably, once every other week or so. And he was having some of these knives called Dalstrong, and he was talking about how great they were and everything. So I looked them up and I found out more about them. And now I've got 4 of them in my possession that I'll be reviewing. I think you might have seen the unboxing video where I showed off some of them. This is the smallest one in the bunch. This is their 6-inch utility knife from their Gladiator series. They've got a number of different series of knives from the most budget line and going up and up. And if I remember correctly, the Gladiator series is their most budget line, and that's why I want to show it to you first. So we've got a full flat grind knife with a roughly 6-inch blade, full tang handle. And if you're interested at all in a knife like this, and I think you should be, because if you've got one of these in your kitchen and it's not very expensive, I think you're going to be very happy with it. So watch this review coming at you right now. Now, Dalstrong is a family-owned American company, and they like to make things the way us North Americans, well, Westerners, really like to get stuff. They do a great job. Let's start off by looking at their packaging. So when you order one of their knives, you get it like this, except there's going to be a nice shrink wrap on here. The box is a high-end box, even on their budget lines, UV protection on the paper and everything. You get a sleeve on it that you take off. And then you've got the box here, and then it says which series of knives it is. So this is a Gladiator series. Premium high carbon German steel. Stainless steel is what it is. And there's the name of the knife right there. The utility knife premium collection set. And it also has, the name on the side and everything. And on the back, you've got the whole bit of information. So you can certainly take a good read-up of this before you buy it to make sure that that's exactly what you want. And don't let that MSRP scare you, because it is available for less than half of that at Amazon. And I'll give you links in a little while. So let's open up the box. We've got one of those magnetic boxes. There's a magnet here and here. Right there and right there, and that hold on to the side here. And then once you're inside the box, you get a good manual right here, and it's specifically for this knife. And you've got pictures and all sorts of information in there. Everything you're going to want to know about the knife is in there. You've got another little card here, happy, not happy. This is if you want to respond to them. Oh, that's because one side's one way. So there's the information on contacting them. I'll put all that information down below in the description area. You are given this cloth, so you can wipe it down very nicely. It's a nice microfiber cloth. So you've got their logo there as well. Obviously, one thing that you're noticing is this knife, even their lower budget line, lower is not a good word, their more budget line is made so that it's great for gift giving. Of course, giving to yourself is always wonderful, but gift giving to somebody else, this is an awesome gift to receive. Somebody opens it up and they get all this nice stuff, and that's a very good thing. So you can get your own membership with them, and that way you'll get exclusive discounts, promotions, all kinds of good information right there. And there's their website, dalstrong.com. and then you join the VIP program there. And not quite finally, you also get a nice pin in there. Now this is a nice touch. I took it out before and took a look at it. It's a decent quality pin with a nice little catch on it, and you know, their Gladiator series. So as their series go on, they've got different style pins for their different series of knives. And personally, I don't know what I would do with this, but you know, somebody might have a collection. What it does show is it shows a dedication to wanting to give the customer a very good experience when they get their knife. And then, you know, the box has got this nice felt and everything in there. Then comes the knife itself, and you find out that none of that other stuff was a gimmick, because you've got a very nice knife in here. First off, let's talk about this little sheath. This isn't a gimmick at all either. There's a hole in the end right there so that it can drain any moisture if there's some in there. There should not be any in there. Don't put away your knives wet. Even though it's a stainless steel can corrode. And then you've got a one-way guide to put the blade in. I put it in upside down once, and I got a tiny little scratch mark right up there because I put it in the wrong way. So do be careful when you're putting the sheath in, or the knife in the sheath, so that it's the correct way. So what is the sheath good for? Well, if you don't have one of those wood blocks or a different way of putting your knives, you know, on display in your kitchen, and you just have to put it into a drawer, this is a great way to store your knife in a drawer, and it's not going to get dull or dinged up or anything. Very good quality plastic. They even have their logo. It's raised on here, so a very nice touch. And then you get the knife itself. So there you go in all its glory. We have Paca wood handle scales. This is not just a regular genuine wood. It's actually a synthetic wood, so super durable. So very nice handle, full tang handle. They have skeletonized it a little bit to help lose some weight there and to give it a very good balance point. And the balance point is, let me see if I can, sorry, I don't want to get cut, so when I'm finding the balance point, I have to put it down. There we go. So the balance point is right there, which is exactly where you put your index finger if you're holding it like this. Of course, you can do pinch grips up if you're doing a more delicate cut or whatever, but usually your hand's going to be back here. Very nice grip, very nice balance point, very nice weight. I'll come across that in a little while. We've got 3 pins that hold it together, and the center pin has got their logo in it. I'll give you a nice close-up shot of that. We've got a nice bolster on the front and a nice end of your handle back here. Why am I drawing a blank on what this end is called? Doesn't really matter. So there you can see the full tang and everything. And the heel here, you got full steel all the way through to the heel, and that's where the cutting edge starts right there, and it goes all the way to the tip right there. Full flat grind. The spine comes down. It's a nice drop point at the tip, slightly rounded up here. So it's not a knife that's designed to, you know, poke into things. And a little bit of a belly here, and then it flattens out down here. Now, I'll talk about my I think maybe 1 or 2. It's a little nitpicky. The negative that I have is when you've got a knife like this with a heel that comes all the way down, even sharpening at the factory, it ends up coming up a little bit on the steel, and you end up having an airspace there if you're putting this down flat on your cutting surface. So when you're flat on a cutting surface like this, I would need light underneath to show this off, wouldn't I? Unfortunately, I don't have it on that angle, but there's a little bit of space right there where if you're cutting something right here and you're cutting through it, you're not going to cut exactly to the table because, you know, there's a little bit of an airspace there. And as you sharpen the knife over its life, you know, that will increase a little bit. you know, it's not a huge deal. It's just something to be aware of. But a utility knife like this, you're not doing this kind of cutting anyways. Your fingers aren't going to let you do it in the first place, you know, because your fingers are going to get in the way. I need a different color surface here, don't I? Here we go. Let's do it this way. So your fingers are going to get in the way. If you imagine this is your tabletop, your cutting board, your fingers are going to get in the way before you get down to the cutting board anyway. So for this specific knife, the complaint that I made just there is basically not important at all. But I just wanted to give it just in case somebody is going to ask me about it, because I know some of you are. So then we got a nice long blade here that's going to work very, very well. So let's take a close look at the different aspects of this blade. We've got a German high carbon steel. It says high carbon German steel right there, and we mentioned it earlier. Let me give you the dimensions. The cutting edge, 15.27 centimeters, 6.01 inches long, so it is a 6-inch blade. The blade length, and so I measured the blade length from the where this plunge ends and it becomes the normal thickness of the steel to the tip of the blade, 16.15 centimeters, 6.36 inches, so it's a little over 6 inches, so they're not chipping you any steel at all. The blade thickness at the spine is where it's thickest because it's a full flat grind. 1.6 millimeters thick, that's 0.0635 inches. So nice and thin, that helps it be very light. Then the blade depth, that's this dimension, is 2.26 centimeters, that's 0.888 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind. Now, they don't mention this anywhere in their documentation, and very few knife reviewers do, but especially for kitchen knives, cooking knives, this is a very, very important measurement. How thick is the steel right there where my fingernail is? 0.23 millimeters. That's 0.009 inches. So the thinner it is at the edge, the easier it is to slice through things. The next important thing that we talk about at the edge is the angle of the grind. They claim that this knife is between 16 and 18 degrees. I put it on my sharpening system, which has a very precise measuring capability on it. And this knife, most of it was at 17.4 degrees per side. So perfectly within that range, what they said that it is. And that's a very good thing. So you've got a steep angle and you've got a thin edge, and that's why this thing cuts so wonderfully. It's also why you need to be using a wood cutting board when you're cutting things. If you're cutting all the way down onto a surface, don't use glass. Don't use your countertop. You don't want to wreck your countertop because these things are sharp. You can either wreck the countertop or wreck the knife or wreck both, so don't do that. The best thing is wood, and the best kind of wood, in my personal opinion, is using, actually it's a grass, bamboo. I use our bamboo cutting board all the time. It's certainly hard enough to hold your stuff, whatever you're cutting up, but it's a soft enough wood that you're not going to wreck your blades very easily. Very good surface, and it's a very clean surface. It's easy to clean up after, and it stays biologically fairly clean just because it's organic. The rest of the measurements. Let's get to the handle. We talked about the blade. The handle is 11.1 centimeters, 4.37 inches. The thickest part of the handle is right here, close to the middle. So it's narrow here, and it becomes thicker, and then it comes back a little bit more narrow. That helps it to fill in the hand very, very well. The handle thickness is 1.71 centimeters. That's 0.676 inches. And then the handle depth, that's this way, is biggest right here at the end, 2.19 centimeters, which is 0.86 of an inch. And the whole grip area is right from the front here all the way to there. So between my two thumbnails, basically. 9.28 centimeters, 3.65 inches. So that size of handle here is going to suit almost everybody. My hands are large, bordering on extra large for men's glove sizes. If I go to buy gloves, that's what I have to buy. Sometimes extra large, sometimes large, depending on who made it. So most people don't have hands that are larger than mine, and my hand fits in here very, very well. And people with smaller hands are going to be, very comfortable as well holding this knife. One more measurement about the length is the total length of this thing, 27.7 centimeters, 10.9 inches. And your question is, how much does this thing weigh? Well, you've got a utility knife that's a 6-inch blade, and it still is only 112 grams, 3.9 ounces. So just under 4 ounces for a fairly large blade. That's a very good thing. Very comfortable to use for the long term. If you are cutting for a very long time, your hand's not going to get tired holding something that's less than 4 ounces. And you can do all kinds of really nice grips on it. That's very comfortable for cutting or just simple cutting through, whatever you want to do. It's a little too big to be used as a paring knife, although in a pinch you could use it that way. Better yet, go and buy one of their paring knives. This knife can also work as a sandwich knife if you want it to. Very good food prep knife for small fruits and vegetables. Nothing too huge, but almost everything, the vast majority of what you cut up in the kitchen will fit with this utility knife. I always advocate using a knife that's not too big. Use a knife that's the right size for what you're cutting up. And this knife will be very handy in your house. If you don't have a knife that's this kind of size in your kitchen, you do need to get one. So I'm going to roll in some footage right now of my wife using this knife, cutting up, I think, some strawberries.
Cuts right through. Now slow down. There we go.
I don't have a lot of footage of cutting up, but this knife has been used a bit, and I like it an awful lot. Let's go over the pros and the cons. Some of the pros, again, are full tang knife, 3 rivets to hold it together. A lot of knives only have 2, but even this small, you've got 3 rivets. That's very good. It's very comfortable in the hand, well finished. Having a really nice thin edge like this one helps it to be a very good knife for slicing all kinds of produce. Goes through things very easily. It also means that you need to be more careful with that edge because it's so thin. This steel's got a Rockwell hardness of around 55. That makes it quite hard, but it's not so hard that it's going to be brittle. So if you do run into this thin edge into something hard, the edge can bend a little bit. It can flex and bow a little bit, and you might need to use a sharpening rod. You see that in the movies and stuff when a chef takes this long rod and he takes the knife and he's going really fast over it. What that rod does is not so much sharpening a knife, it helps to true up the edge if you do have any of those little bends in the steel. And so you need to do that kind of thing to keep the steel true if you've happened to hit it against something harder. I really love that they've added a very nice sheath so that you can stick this in a set of drawers. So it's a great food prep knife. The cons for it, well, it's a very nitpicky thing. And I don't like the heel there that much. I do like that there's a heel here protecting your hand from sliding up and over. So I'm being super nitpicky. I really don't mind very much at all that there's this heel here. But it's just something to watch out for. If you use this knife in the long term and you sharpen it, I don't know, if you keep it for years and years and the steel ends up coming up fairly high here, you can always take this end here and take a hand file and file it down just a little bit. So I'll have links for this knife for Canada, United States, United Kingdom, and Germany, the Amazon sites for all of them. On some of their websites, I think it's for North America and the UK, they've got a loyalty promotional discount where if you buy multiple Dalstrong knives, you can get a discount. So take a good look at the website all through the Dalstrong listings, and maybe there's 2 or 3 that you want to get, and you can save yourself even more money. So there you go, the Dalstrong Gladiator Series high carbon German steel. Very nice blade. Oh, I didn't show before. It's got some nice flex to it, which is a good thing. It's not a brittle steel at all. It's a good, strong steel. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, please ask them down below. Thanks for watching again. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Remember, guys, always cut towards your veg and not your thumb.